Our team has been working on this pretty much constantly since October. And the last 2 weeks have been pretty brutal, so if I don't say things clearly, please be patient with me and please let me know, because I've gotten to the point where I don't know if I made a mistake. Welcome, everybody. Mike, you are seeing oh, Paul's here too. You're seeing the best of Montpelier. These are long-term friends of mine. And I want to introduce you to you right away, Mike Davidson, who bought Goddard and is redeveloping it, giving it a new life. Yay!
Good home.
Most people know Tim Heaney, our realtor, right? And then Paul Bover, some people may not be familiar with him, but he's worked in Montpelier a lot. He's a civil engineer at Engineering Ventures. Okay, so I want to be clear that this is our information session. The city has kindly let all of the developers have one if they want, and it's not official. So anything that's shared tonight, we will record it if that's okay. Is anybody not okay with recording the session?
Do you have a translator for me?
A translator, we could do that. So we'll put it up on our website, but we want to make it clear this is not part of the official city process. Hi, Steve, come on in. There's some food and cookies over there and seats. All right, so there is an online form to register your opinions with the city. And the handout is over there. Can someone hold up what it looks like? Numa's got it. It looks like this. So please make sure you take this home and fill it out. We'll go over that in a minute. All right. So we've kind of done the introductions already. I don't know everybody here, and I forgot where I put my name tag. So unfortunately, we don't have. But again. Paul, engineer, Tim, realtor, Mike, Grand Poobah, Sandy, helper on everything, okay? Oh, and we have 3 of the builders here tonight. So starting over here with Michael Zabrowski, he has a factory in Barrie called Up and This. And then right behind him is Ace McCarlton. Ace is co-founder of New Frameworks, which is in Plainfield and what, Winooski or Williston?
Essex Junction.
Essex Junction, all the same.
Yeah.
So they build very different kinds of buildings, but they also have the same goal of making this affordable with very high quality materials. And then Kent, same category, high quality materials. Kent runs a company called Brushwood, and he also is a designer. Well, actually, I would say all are designers, really. So thank you so much, folks, for taking time to join us tonight. We don't have a break, unfortunately, but you can grab them and ask questions. And back there, I've put photographs of the houses that they make in our renderings, and so you can tie that together. Okay, so have I missed anybody? I think we've covered pretty much everybody. Good. All right, I want to show this film. Can we turn off the lights? David, you've got the long arms and you're close. Okay. So my son Alex made the music.
Welcome to a new kind of community for Montpelier, Vermont. One designed for well-being. A huge park that was once a golf course, where everyone can meet and play. Ringed with stately apartment buildings that feel like home. A pedestrian neighborhood where most homes are owned, from studios to 3 bedrooms. A variety of spaces, both indoors and out, to build a deeply connected and active community. Intergenerational, accessible, community gardens with local food, shared bikes, carts, wagons, and cars, geothermal wells with heated paths. Pedestrian neighborhood for all ages. A variety of open spaces for outdoor activities. A mix of house sizes from 0 bedrooms to 3 for all budgets. Ecological geothermal heat with heated paths. Solar panels with low operating costs. And a bike path leading to downtown Montpelier. Our granite lanes are ecological and accessible and wide enough for emergency vehicles to pass. Many paths into the woods invite people of all ages to explore. A gazebo at the end of the central lane will be perfect for picnics. 2 community centers have large and small activity spaces, laundries, community kitchens, and apartments above. Find out more at execusuiteccr.info.
So that is, without very much introduction, is the village part of our proposal. And could anybody hear it?
Yeah.
Oh, thank the Lord, because taskbars and stuff like that. Okay, so I also want to show you a shorter clip that describes the adjacent areas. So we have and there it goes again. We'll try it this way. Okay, so we have the village right near the clubhouse, and then in concept 1, the houses kind of wrap around the old golf course, the new rec field. And so there's some cottage clusters and kind of traditional houses with their own land off to the edges, which we can talk about more later. But this is, okay, let's try it again.
For those who prefer a traditional subdivision, there are single-family homes in conserved woodlands with many paths to explore. These homes have driveways and could have garages added. In addition, 5 cottage clusters share green spaces and parking. Each cottage will have a porch and a private garden. Find out more at execusuiteccr.info.
Cottage clusters, it's actually, Tim, one group contacted me today and they said they might be interested in the whole cluster. And they would turn one of the houses into a group amenities. So it's really one of the cornerstones, I'm getting a little bit out of sequence, is that this development is very flexible. All right, let me try the last one. I'm just, wait a minute. This one is concept 3, which is moving all the houses closer to each other. Let's see if I can get that to work. It might not work. Can't. I'm kind of impatient, right? Okay. No. Go to this one. I think it might be loading up or something.
Well, it does that.
Yep.
Our motto, bring new life to our historic downtowns. We are a pure play redeveloper. We're taking forest and built it into anything. This would actually be a little bit of a step out into taking even open green space and building anything on it. And we've sort of weighed the pluses and minuses of true desperate need for housing versus not screwing up the beautiful land we have. And we've done downtown 20 building in downtown White River, a half dozen downtown Enfield, 20 or 30 in White River, in Lebanon, and a few over upstate New York, not Mechanical, New York. We take existing buildings, very often white elephants, because no one wants like a college. It was a beautiful college. What the heck do you do with it? That is our thing. So we're not a typical developer in the sense of, you guys look online. I don't have a personal resume, but I've been doing it 42 years, and we take what's there with the input of the people around and say, what do you want? That got everything so far, right? What do you not want? And then make it work. And then it actually gets very technical how to make it all fit together. It's not one size fits all. It's actually much more complex. Which I enjoy the complexity of it. Oregon City's been great. Where it isn't. I mean, anyone can put up cinder block building. I mean, I don't know if you've been in the Soviet Union, but you're 20 miles out of the airport. So on how we moved all the numbers around, I don't know how you get home, right? It's all the same. There's nothing wrong with that. To have any house right now is better than living under a bridge or worse yet, dying under a bridge. I'm at the tail end of my career. I'm 63.
Mike, could you speak up just a little bit?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. No, I'm 63. I'm saying the tail end of my career. I don't say when it may be the end of my career. But we're passionate about up here. We've made a decision to sell Lebanon, which I've been in 42 years, and move our assets up here with a different need and a different opportunity and something we're intrigued by. And here it's like, there's some problems, floods. You know, all the beautiful mill towns that we have are flood central. You know, think, oh, who cares? Bangladesh was underwater with global warming. It's not. It's Catskills, Adirondacks, White Mountains, Green Mountains. We're getting battered here. Plainfield is poster child for it. It's also, for better or for worse, these recent floods, Montpelier especially, well, shows the need to basically change how we're thinking about all this stuff. I don't even mean, oh, we're going to put out a little less, carbon, what have you, for the next generation, 2 or 3. I mean, how today do we take what we have without ruining what's quintessential about Vermont? And I'm going to put it in with that, the Great Northern Forest, Adirondacks to Maine. That's my territory where I live in. For free range gringos, they say. And how do you make it, keep it what it is, with an eye towards the future of fixing now what absolutely needs fixed now, not even 2 or 3 years from now. How we rapidly get housing that people can afford that is sensible. And it's not easy, but anyway, so that's what we do.
Could everyone understand? Yep. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so those 3 videos are on our website, and the little handout on the table back there has the link to get there. And sorry, I can't figure out the third one. The third one shows this alternate plan. We have 3 concepts going.
You turn the lights back on?
Yes.
Yeah, got it.
David, thank you. You get extra cookies. So just a quick orientation in case people want to look at the maps. The whole site is here. Concept 1 is completely compliant with what the city asked for. They had very strict rules about where you could build and where you could not build. They wanted to preserve pretty much this whole golf course. And so the first video you saw was the village, and the second video started in the individual houses and then ended in the cottage clusters.
How many is that total?
300, well, we're actually showing 340 homes right now, but the idea is that we'll end up with 300. Mike was really serious about what he said, that he's a redeveloper, and he has a very strong citizen process. And it doesn't really fit with the kind of the urgent situation we're in with the city, but what we've asked for is between 2 and 3 months, if we're selected, to start immediately and firm these things up in a public way of what is best for the people who would live there. Tim is poised to start a campaign to get people to identify themselves with no obligation. And then also people who would use the recreation, and then all Montpelier people would be what we hope will be getting involved in these conversations. So there were some inherent problems with this. Paul could talk about this road. We weren't allowed, so in the original design, you're also not allowed to put any houses here. This is the sledding hill. So we went above it. That is a 75-foot ascent and a 50-foot drop to get over here. It's very expensive. That road is about $12 million. So we suggested concept 2, which is less because it keeps the road and cars down lower, and it lets this be more pedestrian and bike friendly up in the clusters. This design is a step further, and it saves the whole $12 million. And you can see we've pushed all the houses down right around here. What's important for everybody to know is that this is still just a concept. None of these are hard proposals that we think have to be built. Mike likes concept 2. He doesn't want to lose these other building types, and he's confident that we're going to figure out funding for this. Right now, this design has a shortfall of somewhere between 18, 20 something million, but he's working on it. This one is down to like 3 million, very easy to fix. So we have, as she says, millions.
I don't understand the shortfall.
The
I don't know
known
what it means,
funding
but what are you
versus
talking,
the,
what are you comparing?
so our sources of funding that we're pretty sure of versus the expenses of the project.
Got it.
And what assumption for the cost of buying these units?
We're going to talk about that. So concept 3 creates, whereas this is all field, the other one, concept 3 creates a new avenue, and it kind of takes up half of the long way of the park. But this one suggests that where these houses are being built, that this be an extension of the park, a new park, so that the total park remains the same size. The other thing I want to point out is in all 3, we are proposing this community farm, which I'll talk about in a minute. And it's not essential to our proposal, but it would be a place where people could volunteer to garden and take care of livestock. We want to have a classroom for students, an off-campus classroom for teaching. I'm pointing. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Not really.
Okay. The middle school has been amazing in coming up with what they would like to see here. They did a 6-week project. So we're proposing a sugar shack and a classroom for kids to come up and learn, and it could also be a classroom for adults. Waldorf on Route 14 has a series of outside classrooms, and they do things like they teach how to make kimchi. And then volunteers you could have your own garden space, and there would be a farm stand in all 3 of the options.
Sandy?
Yep.
So the difference there, you said the city approves that because they want to keep the golf course there?
Right, the city gave us this very strict outline of where
Okay,
you could build.
but you're proposing these other things, we would be not preserving so much of the golf course, but the
Right.
building would be,
In
that-
all cases, we have to show a trade, we can't lose the open space.
okay,
So this was, we could have put apartments or houses here, but we're saying let's move the sledding hill
Yeah,
here so that the
okay.
houses can be consolidated. And then in this one, let's consolidate the houses even more, and let's make this park. And Paul will tell us, we have a lot of cut to make this, so the fill could come over here and make a terrace park, which the city's now asked us to drop, so we have to.
So we can make a ski hill,
What?
sledding hill.
The sledding hill, the
That's what I'm
sledding.
saying with the fill, there's a bunch of ways.
Oh, that's true, we
Sort of a ski shop,
Yeah.
it might be a little like that.
That's true. Okay, so, yeah,
Just a little question, given that it was a golf course and there was pesticides, presumably,
yeah,
how was that being
we can talk about
thought
that. Yeah,
about in
that,
terms of safety?
so, thank you. Let's actually write that down because that is important. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I did interrupt you, I'm sorry.
It's okay, you got it.
Actually meant to, but in a nice way.
Great.
What I would like to do to try to get us done, and I actually thought it was going to be 10 minutes and I've already used up half the time. So what I want to do is go over the questions that I've already received, and we've put some answers into, and then we want to capture new questions, and then if there's any time left over, we'll ask more. So we're going to cover, let's just get going. Okay. So the geothermal system. We are proposing a district geothermal system, at least for the village. If we can figure out how to get it over or how to bring the houses closer, we would do that. So the idea is that wells would be drilled in the parking lots, and then the machinery would be in the common buildings. Very simple, in the basement of the common buildings. There's significant tax credits for this investment that are really going to help pay for the project. So The granite sets are another big question. I had suggested granite sets in all of the lanes in the village. And they are ecological. You can easily, if a hump starts over time, or you need to open up a pipe, you can put them aside and put them back in. And they do make you jiggle if you go over them in a wheelchair. But they are incredibly common in Europe. But there's no doubt about it, they are not as smooth as asphalt. But most people in Montpelier who've driven over asphalt know that asphalt does not stay smooth.
Not today.
So-
I lost a couple of teeth.
Yeah, did you? So,
This is good.
so there's a trade-off there. And the initial cost for these adds $2 million to the project. We've been holding that in there so far. Again, we feel like this is part of a public discussion. Do people not think that's important? Well, then we take it out. But do we make sure that that happens? These are a lot of questions like this that we could spend an hour on every single one of these topics to fully inform people. But let's call this a starting point. Another question, can people see, David, do you mind turning it off for just a
No,
second?
happy to.
I've gotten a question about how far do you have to walk to get to your house in the pedestrian neighborhood. 2/3 of the houses have parking adjacent, and then 8%, almost 9%, are in that first tier where they're walking less than 100 feet, and then 200, 300, and those happy souls way at the end are well secluded at a 400-foot walk. Yep.
How many people here work from home?
How many people are retired?
What are you doing home if you're not working? Well, no, because I say that because they interject with all the stuff we've looked at, and there are different ways to look at everything. How do we really live? We don't have a stereo console anymore. We don't have a Lowry organ. We don't need all the space we needed. And also, a bunch of us don't leave home as much because we're there, we have everything we need. So everything without some social interaction that face-to-face really is always better. When you can, most of the time. And here, we have what, 12, 13, 14 acres, 20%. That's far. 200 feet, get over it, 100 foot's nothing, you know. Some people get spoiled, they have a garage, whatever. I've never had one of them, but the one I grew up was full of junk. But those are how we actually live. Who lives here? We look, we got to do this, and who actually lives here? What do we actually want? What do we need? Not what we think. Not like how it was necessarily. Oh, this is a little bit of back to the future for anyone who grew up in a bedroom community. As I differentiate between, say, a suburbia and bedroom community, where tight little houses, they have a factory you walk to, and the big ones up on the hill, and it smells so much, the little ones down by the mill, where the mills smell more, but they're cheaper, and this is how we live. This is a little bit of what we're doing here, is back to the future.
We are trying to be back to the future.
With the advantage, and one of the things here, and this is really, really, really important, the engineering that we're only touching here, the engineering has a lot to do with this. What we do with energy, how we do it is really a big deal.
It is.
I would not have walked out of college if we're not for that chip plant. Sure, put smoke out there, although catalytic converter, this, that. It's like we are in a place where I'm on absolute left, absolute right, absolute green, absolute black. It's what actually works today that grows towards where we need to get to. We can't go all this way or that, and the effort to do so, I think, kind of ripped us apart in common sense, to how it actually works. It's other stuff, engineering. If we have engineering people, I'll talk about it all day, but not right now. There's someone else with pretty nifty stuff going on right now, and there's a lot of good incentives outside even the stuff we're talking about here, on what can make it work that is different from forgetting about the size of the housing, freestanding versus rented, owning, with that, all that aside. The engineering from the ground up, in a place already pretty clear and clean, where we want to keep stuff open, is I don't want to say easy peasy, but no, but really, I mean, there's a chance that in this property, I'm glad the city owns it, because they say, look, this is a gem. What do we do with it? And if Don Wells says to us somewhere, that's great too. If it's a good project, because I like Don, I'm friends with Don. But there's just different ways of looking at it. It comes down to what the city wants and needs. That's not up to us.
Right.
But we're presenting something that will work. When we get done with engineering, it's pretty nifty stuff. I think people like, but that's, there's a lot. We're gonna take.
We have a lot before there, we do.
Yes.
One question is, how can row houses actually be owned? And the difference is that in an area where you have 0 lot setbacks on the side of the house, you can actually own to a party wall. So you can fully own the house that you live in, including a front yard and backyard and garage in the back.
Sandy, is it an HOA?
So the city requires us to create an HOA for the village. And then each of the cottage clusters would probably also have their own little HOA, which stands for Homeowners Association. Right now, we don't have the ability to just create standalone houses in the village that are completely, with no relationship. And that kind of makes sense because there's going to be expenses in the village. They have to plow, they have community buildings, possibly a common laundry. There's a lot of things.
It's also akin to water and sewer, electricity that we have now.
Yeah.
I mean, utilities, they have needs and wants.
Right.
And then maybe utilities that no one's ever had, like hot water flow by,
Right.
and cold water flow by, what have you. But thinking about it in that sense, there are things that are much better done with commonweal in mind versus doing individually at each house.
So to give an example, the blue house on the side is a green view model by Huntington Homes. And that would be 3 fee simple, fully owned homes. So the fellow in the middle does not have any side yard. And then they would belong to the homeowners association that doesn't have anything to do with their house. It only has to do with the common land and the common buildings that everyone's contributing to. So it's usually a lower HOA fee. We have to work on that. The city's asked us, but we've been pretty busy. So one question came in about how would garbage and compost and recycling work when you're in a pedestrian village. We're actually thinking that if we have the farm, someone could drive down with a golf cart from the from the farm and just pick up compost once or twice a week. So there are actually some advantages to living close together. A golf cart with a trailer could come through and pick up people's cardboard. The cardboard might actually just stay at the mailroom. There are a lot of details that we would like to work out in the next couple months if we're selected. Is the community farm actually feasible? There are 2 examples of co-housing in Vermont that immediately came to mind, Living Tree and Cobb Hill. What we would do immediately is get together with people who are interested in being managers and living on the farm. People like the Conservation Trust who would help us figure out how the trust would be set up. And then farmers. Alan LePage has already volunteered to help, as well as Carl Hammer. So, and if we can't get this to work, we could just have community gardens up there, right? Okay. So this is the handout that I gave you. I will quickly, if I can, just explain. Everybody can find themselves on this chart. You might be above the top end there, but it is the chart that lending institutions and the state use to determine what you should be paying for your household expenses. A lot of people in Vermont are paying more than they really can afford. It is a grim reality. I'm in that category. So it's broken down by 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 person households, and then the next general category is rent, and the next general category is housing. We took the city's data, and CVR, the Regional Planning Commission, has recently put together an exhaustive study. We put together, from all of that information, a pretty clear picture of who lives in central Vermont and what can they really afford. And that summary is on our website under documents. It's called Detailed Methodology. So once you get that and you can figure out how many people in the community are at what level, we made this target, and I handed it out because I figured you would not be able to see that on the screen. It's very small. It's also on our website under housing info. And so you can see that the red, the pinky things, those are rented units. We could not make those work out to own their homes. Those people, many of them would like to own their homes, and we may be able to nudge that further with really creative thinking.
Tell me what you mean by that.
Yes.
Of course.
Yes. I'm going to give you an example. We've been working with Fecto's Homes. They can provide a one-bedroom house for $90,000. Montpelier does not really want to have a modular, or what they call a manufactured home in the middle of the development. So are there ways that we could solve that? Could we put siding on the house? Whatever. So we have those are peripheral questions to try to get to the finish line. But right now, a $90,000 house might translate to something like $130,000 to own. It's very close to the category 126, and you can see we've got 16 people who can afford $126,000 for a house or the equivalent rent. Right now, all we can give them is a condo, but we might be able to get that to home ownership. Yep.
One of the things that, and I reached out to you about this, is I have lived in other cities in which, I lived in Milwaukee, Wisconsin for quite a while, and they had a program which was rent to own. It was, people moved into a home, a portion of what they were paying in rent moved towards their purchasing power of it.
You don't hear that much anymore.
Mike's interested.
That's an old term.
Yep.
But you don't hear that much anymore.
But it's a powerful way for
Christmas,
people to
kinda.
get their first home. No one can get their first home at the cost of $350,000.
It's insane. I mean,
But to be able to say, I'll make a commitment to renting this home, I will take care of it because it's my goal to be able to buy it. And I've invested 5 years and now I can. And
they remember layaway at the holidays? Layaway? You don't hear that every day. It's probably illegal in Vermont or something by now. But no, but I'm a joke. But it's down in Mexico. I live in Latin America most of the winter. It's a short. They don't really have anything on campus anymore, which was a mistake last week when we went Christmas. At Christmas, they do the stuff in layaway. It's kind of neat. It's, they start in October and stuff, and they put it, I mean, these are people with modest means in Mexico and Nicaragua, what have you. And it's just what they do. It's like, I go back to, this is, by the way, a quick aside. I grew up in a 1,250 square foot Sears kid house with 7 people, a cat and a dog. And like, if we didn't have the junk room, we would have been happy with that, like an extra den. We were fine. Then we built onto it, we finished the attic. I looked recently, someone in the basement, we're around the Mohawk River, outside Schenectady. I don't know how they put some in that basement because the river ran right through it practically. But that's the other thing. In Mexico and Nicaragua, so you see someone builds a house. They got a lot. The whole thing. And so I've got this rebar coming up everywhere. But the house I grew up in never finished, right? Until you go to sell it after mom and dad died. But then you start the second floor there when you have the money. It's aspirational. It's not that pretty sometimes in the neighbor's rebar or something. That's what they have. That's what they can do. And these are hardworking folk. Whatever level of economy you're in, there's that margin. I'm looking out here at 75 homes. I look around and say, how many barns and garages are falling on there? Or chicken coops that are falling down that might be the size of someone donate. Because volunteers would build 20 of the 75 from beautiful standing stock without falling down around there. We don't build cookie cutter things like this. This isn't actually cookie cutter, but the thing, so if there's 75 little barns, or shear houses or whatever, my farm upstate New York, there where I grew up, is I got 9 outbuildings. And those half of those beautiful houses on this side or what have you, it might be free. And people, there we had one got torn down the street, down before Farm, it's all sits. Oh no, that's over there, it's so-and-so. Bobby took it over, he's building on his own land, rebuilding it. That sort of thinking is what we're open to, because you cannot fix this ground up, out of the factory, boom, one size fits all. That's what the people say, now how are you gonna build 300 houses from the ground up, and you can't possibly build anything here for under $400 a square foot? Well-intended groups are doing that now, they can't afford it. Well, this is how.
Hold on 2 seconds, Stan, we have a...
In terms of the fiscal instrument that is rent to own,
there are other groups outside of Execusuite in Montpelier, such as Down Street. And Down Street has shared equity, for example. So there are potentially tools that
Yep.
kind of look like, again, they're not talking about that, right? It's probably not the time for it. But
We
groups like
are
Down Street-
talking about it.
Wonderful.
So the shared equity is the yellow category.
And so that's the other thing about being there.
These all work with shared equity.
Is there things we can do that, you know, this could be last project, or maybe one of mine could be last project? Every day's a gift, okay, don't worry, I'm not ill or anything. And, but it doesn't have to, I don't have to get rich doing this project. And that may sound crass, right? Is to do this project, if it works, it's a great project, and we do it and replicate them. But it has to meet the ideals of the local community to even want to do it for us. And the ideals of a lot of this, we'll go to engineering stuff, it has to really work. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. We've spent some money, we've invested in different things, they've been off somewhere else. But it really has to work. It isn't like ram a project out of town's throat, especially when I'm new to it. It makes no sense to us to do that. So it has to work, and people have to support it. And one thing they learned from an old customer of mine who lived in some of these houses like this on Escoma Lake, is a hiding place. Together, each of us know more than each knows individually.
Together
So,
we-
there's ideas in this room that I've never thought of.
Well, and we're getting a lot of good questions all the
I
time.
just want to say, like, we have to think from an aspirational point of view.
That is exactly
Because there are
right.
so many people in this community, in Vermont, in America, that just don't see the hope of really getting 4 walls and a roof and not being living paycheck to
How many
paycheck
people-
under a point of fear.
How many people know who Buckminster Fuller is? That's Buckminster Fuller. That's it. I wrote my essay in college, but that's Buckminster Fuller. And that's what, why we spend 9 gallons to flush half pint of urine away. And that was about 45 years, right? And finally, my career, like, get old enough to be want to be done with it, but I can't, because I have the ability and the knowledge, and the education, maybe a little bit of enlightenment to actually want to do it. With support people doing it smart, doing it right. We may still get to, I mean, it comes out negative 3.75%, it doesn't work. Or maybe it does, I can spread the difference, whatever. As is right now, 10% of our units, we do it Down Street and Twin Pines housing rates. Our private units, we have 10% of our units in those rates, not market rates. There's a give back here.
Yep.
You can't take it with you, I can only drink so much beer. I'm not drinking less than I used to, so I have some extra. No, it's to get this right. It is not right, not really.
So,
And we don't get chosen, that's fine too. We just, if we do it, we want to do it correctly.
So Mike, what I want to add is that this spread that you see here is mirroring Montpelier's population of who can afford how many, and the number of houses are matching our natural mix. As the project goes forward and Tim starts getting actual prospective buyers, we will need to come up with a mechanism that helps, gives priority to people who would normally get pushed out. So we will be working on that, but it's basically, and also ways to keep things affordable over a period of time. But just so you can take this home and look at it in more detail later, we've broken down the income brackets at the bottom line, the demographics of how it is shocking to me that a third of this group that would live at this place, if they're a complete match of our population, would be 1-person households, and then the other third would be 2-person households. And the rest of that is kind of 3 and up, mostly 3.
What's 0?
0 bedrooms are studios. Studio or cottages.
So this shed, you just have to put the mower and stuff in?
No. Okay, and then you can see that the 76 rented are the pink group up at the top. And we, as I said, we're trying to eat into that with shared equity and home ownership. Right now, the lowest group that we can do shared equity with is 50 percentile. Most groups in Vermont wouldn't even try to build an owned home for 50 percentile income. We feel that we're there, and we would like to push it even further. Okay, let's keep going because time is flying. So a lot of people are saying, why are we making our houses so small? And why are the lots so small? And you can see some of our math here. If there was no funding, we would be spending $233,000 per house for land development. Land development is really expensive, and that is why there's funding available more and more to help. So if we can bring that down to a reasonable amount, and then our friends here, like Michael and Ace and Kent, are getting houses to be reasonably cost, and then a lot of people are willing to give up a garage, then we can make this equation work. All right, so we've looked at this. Does everybody feel comfortable with the parts of the project? The villages to the left, the clusters are up at the north, and the sort of single homes are over on the right-hand side, which would be a conservation group. Oh, hold on 2 seconds, Barbara.
Sure.
And then the concept with number one is that the field is as open as it is, kind of currently is, and it would be ringed with larger houses, and that's where the apartments are and smaller condos. So they like the large homes around Vermont College campus. And so the idea would be that, so this is the existing park, and then there would be 3-story buildings around here, but they are between 5 and 6 apartments per building. So they would be subsidized. These would be subsidized because they're close to services and you don't need a car to live here. As you go this way, they would become larger condos. So it is mostly architectural. The idea to make it feel like it's part of Montpelier. They have a very large park surrounded by substantial buildings. And then the next one, which isn't going to show up at all here, but that is just the road question we talked about. And that third one's pulling them in. Okay, now, do you mind even turning the light on again? Barbara, you've been so patient, sorry.
No, I just had a quick question, and at least in one of the descriptions I read, it appeared that the parking would be below some of these buildings, particularly multifamily. Is that true?
No, not in concept, but there is a possibility. So we would like to talk to Downstream, possibly do other companies that would want to own and operate the subsidized housing. So this in concept 3 could be the more common large apartment building, and that would free up more space over here for more land for those houses. This is all, we're at concept level. We haven't figured this out yet. It depends who wants to play ball. So some of those developers like Downstreet have a model where you park below. We don't think it's necessary, but maybe they do. So, once you're concentrating a lot of families in a very small place, you have to start thinking about where to put the cars.
Did you say those blue buildings are subsidized buildings? What was that?
No, I'm sorry. On this map,
Down low?
yellow is single family occupancy, whether it's a standalone house or a row house. Orange is a condo of some sort. In other words, they're not going ground to roof. They're probably by flats. The greens are apartment buildings, and if it's blue, it's mixed use. I'm sorry if I misled you. So these are the community buildings, and they would have apartments on the 2nd and 3rd floor. These would have some services we would like to have, for instance, a barber shop, and we would like to have a health clinic. We'd like to have a pharmacy drop-off, and we'd like to have a mail room. Those seem like the most important things to offer. In the bottom of those buildings, it may be that they all, I don't know, consolidate together, who knows? And then if these are the most likely candidates to go kind of larger. But right now we're showing them, and we make the housing work. Well, these are Huntington Home products called Moorings. So these are quadruplexes. and they would be smaller. They might be eight or even 12 apartments per building. We're playing with actual buildings and apartment sizes that people would need. Yep.
Well, it's surprising, and we were in a discussion with the Brookside Nursing Home a couple of years ago in Hartford about why all these damn studios, you build all these studios. Taboo, maybe I'm watching this remotely, said, very politely said, well, your town study shows it's 86 or 72% respondents are looking for single person occupancy housing. How many people here live alone? Right, that's 12%, 18, 20% of us. What do you need? I mean, once you have flat screens and everything, and that's, I mean, the teacher, don't get me wrong. When I'm on the farm, I live in a room, but I love all that acreage. So there, people have different things. And so the thing that we want to be careful of, all of us, is assuming we know what you think. Or you, right? You'll tell us, and that's what's good about this, you'll tell us, I like this, and that's, yeah, you're crazy. And that's a perfect good thing to say to us, by the way. We'll never be offended by saying, that makes no sense here. What we're finding though, this is stuff, this, by the way, it's a passion, for me personally, it's what I do. Zero training it, been doing it since I was 6. Turned 6 after the first company, I was 5, right, well, I'm going to see your kid house. And so I come from a neighborhood like this. And I look back, and I used to crazy look in Levittown. So recently, if you have time, go look at Levittown. It's a terrible looking thing. At first, you look around 20, 30 foot, and the trees all grow in. It's every street, every movie you've ever seen in America. A bunch of houses similar, a little bit different, whatever. And they're all together, and they become a neighborhood. It becomes what it becomes. The landscape is huge. And that's one of the things about starting a place bucolic. Thank you. Starting a place bucolic, you end up with it if you don't screw it up. Because first of all, do no harm. Right? I'm going to call it the hypocritical. First of all, do no harm. Piecing here, hey, we're not developing that, then listen, don't screw it up. It is really important. And again, we have no, Tim and I, and our other employees, I have no interest in screwing anything up. Don't get me wrong. No, that may sound funny, but we make mistakes. But after 14 years, we made most of them. There might be a few more.
Could you get to that question about pesticides?
Yes.
'Cause some-
Before we
Question.
answer individual questions, what I'd like to do is get a list so who has a question they'd like to get in before we end? Okay.
Is there one entrance in off Route 2?
Number of entrances.
And then transportation, public transportation,
Public
I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
we found out that.
Yeah. Numa?
I just had kind of a question. Going to the country club, I'm not looking at it, I have a hard time visualizing how far back, what the area is if we go there and look at the place.
Right,
I mean, I can see from the building it's there, but
right.
it's hard to visualize. I'm looking at the row of trees.
The trees help us so much.
The trees there, at least we have.
Yep.
But I'm
How far
trying to
does Turtle
visualize
Creek up to
exactly
the
where
top?
the things will be.
Well, this is 400 feet from here to here.
Can you point or?
Sorry, from here to here is 400 feet.
So it's maybe 2,000 up the top from Turtle Creek?
All of this.
Turtle Island, I'm sorry, Turtle Island.
All of this is about 1.5 miles of road.
But distance from the red building bottom way
Yep.
to the top, is that 2,000 feet, half a mile? All right, 1,800, 1762.
So let's call that 500 feet.
All right, all right.
Okay?
But walkable, you could, I mean,
Oh,
if you hop on a bike and walk down the street, it's a half mile to Johnny's
Yep.
house, that was,
Oh, well.
yeah. Yes.
Oh, I'm just curious, this may be off the track there, but how many wells are you gonna have to provide water for 300 homes?
So for drinking water, it's going to be on the city water. And then for the geothermal, I don't know how many wells we drill. It's partly a question of depth. All right, but let's keep getting the questions on the list.
Is there solar involved?
Yes, a lot of solar. These I can knock off right while we're doing it. A lot of solar, wherever we can have a south. And we're actually orienting the buildings as much as possible to get south roofs. The concept 3, I haven't mastered that part of it yet, but we are trying. Question?
It was answered about
Okay.
solar.
It's, all right, Steve?
What's the rush? Why are we rolling over to this artificial rush to
Yeah.
design this? This
Okay,
should
so-
be a community design, not a,
Right, so
Developer.
what I want to say, I've forgotten your name already.
Alice.
Alice. What I wanted to say to Alice and to Steve is that general questions for the city and all four developers, I need to prioritize to the back of the conversation because pesticides is not our issue. We care very much what the answer is too. We don't want to be building on toxic soils. So that is very important to us, but it's not in our scope to, it is the cities, they are going to remediate. And then Steve, the rush, we talk about the rush all the time, like why are we rushing? But that is not our scope either. Okay, so now what I want to do is, we're going to cross off those. The number of entrances and public transportation. We have about 5 minutes until 6. Who can stay until 10 after? Is everybody okay with that? Great. All right. Paul?
Yes.
You're on the hot seat with public transportation. Excuse me, with number of entrances. People should know that the city did an initial study getting up to the clubhouse. This is the existing clubhouse. And they left it off by saying that they're going to put in a traffic light and that we would pay for it. And then we've talked to DuBois and King, who's a traffic engineer, and they think a turn lane is sufficient. This is not our territory right now. This is the city's territory, and we would do a second traffic study with them. But what we focused on is how the heck do we get secondary entrances onto the project? That seems like a more fruitful discussion. So, yeah, come on up.
Well, I mean, you and I have been talking about this, but, I mean, obviously, yeah, the city gives us this entrance. They're gonna build this up to, at this point, at that time. We've been looking at other ways to access the site, including paths going down to the southwest and connecting paths going up to the east towards you and
Right.
high school. As far as vehicle access, we haven't really.
Well, Paul is the one that suggested connecting this road down
Well, yeah.
to within the property. Yeah.
That would be a good connection without a loop. I mean, we're talking about having some kind of looping so you don't have to come from here all the way back, which would be.
You have to think about if there's an accident.
Yeah.
If there's an accident here which closes down the road and then someone over here has a heart attack and needs an ambulance, that's what Paul's really worried about. So Paul would like there to be a loop.
Yeah, and fire access.
And fire.
Yeah.
And I know a little bit more because recently, so Mike and I have talked to this owner, who's Pat Malone, and we need to see how things go. But that theoretically, physically is a possibility. We have talked to this owner of this little bit of pasture here going up, connecting to Town Hill Road. And that is a possibility for a bike path that's wide enough for emergency vehicles. That would at least take care of the really serious issue of having 300 families with no way to get out. And there's a very expensive solution this way, and that's why we have this road going here and ending. Hold on, Paul, you're blocking.
Yeah.
But if we go to there, it shows up on our overall site plan. The city's designer laid out a possible road this way, but it would have to include 2 huge bridges, which no CHIP fund is going to pay for, cover. So what we thought, one possibility would be, again, a bike path for emergency vehicles. But going up the hill makes a lot more sense because you don't have to cross ravines.
But this, I mean, this is, yeah, because of its concept design, I mean, there's a desire to get better access here, so that's being discussed, as Sandy talked about all around the site, but that has to be worked out.
So the best we can do is actually talk to the neighbors, but we can't go very far until we're selected.
It's a bit of a catch-22.
Yes.
But also it's a timing thing. Somebody decide tomorrow it's time to sell their house, maybe I'll move up to Goddard, something, right? So there's a piece there, but you don't go around and tell them. And I'm also loath to go to someone and say, hey, want to sell your farm?
Right.
You know, it's the kind of way I come around, you never look, you don't look at someone else's farm. You don't, someone says, hey, Billy may be selling it, so you go right in, you don't go and say, I want to buy your house and put a flyer in the door. It doesn't really go well.
No.
Thou shalt not cover thy neighbor's land. It'd be a patch or 60 acres. So if you know someone, great, but we're not out. Now, until it gets further, we don't want to pressure anyone to think that we're going to do this or we're going to overdevelop your neighborhood or whatever. It can't be a pressured thing that is offensive.
There is one really cool advantage that I've recently learned, that is if there were a bike path going up here to Town Hill Road, all of those people would be able to get down to the park and to a rec facility without having to drive. Wouldn't that be cool?
Nice.
And we have found out by talking to the people who live there of Hackamore, that they go down, they hike snowshoe and they come down already. So, heck. But what they are not excited about is traffic going by every day. So I think we need to be respectful and hold on and do what things, in their proper order. But the tentative idea would be a bike path that's wide enough for emergency vehicles, and it would have to be plowed. It's going to have a maintenance.
It's not that far to Gallison Hill.
No, there is a way to get from here to the ice rink. And wouldn't that be cool to have a bike path between the ice rink and the rest of the rec area? So that's how we are suggesting that the city solve the one access issue, besides having a super aggressive multimodal program, and that's his last question. So it would depend on, there are 3 levels of what would be called shared transportation. There would be golf carts and wagons in the village for the village to use. They would hopefully stay in the village or maybe, get used around here and come back to the village. The next would be car share and e-bike share. That is a progressive thing, and we don't know yet if that would be successful here. It's really going to...
That's the kind of thing, you and I have not even spoken about this, that's the kind of thing I'd be into.
Yeah, I know.
It didn't have to be get rich on it, just break even or lose too much on it. That's a basic principle. We have too much, each money, have too much in our cars, and it's not, for a lot of people don't need it. Having it seems to make a lot of sense.
How many here know Hanif Desirali? Hanif has only a bike.
I thought he would be here tonight.
Yes, he couldn't make it, his wife had something going on. So Hanif would be our point person to start working on this, and we can start doing it as we get prospective buyers for the village to see what they really would like. Now, the 3rd level is public transportation. So a fixed route bus. Right now, there's a bus that goes from the roundabout to Barry and then back to Montpelier. So the bus is already going by the roundabout, and we just have to figure out how to get them up here. But we are not the people to do that, the city is. So we would like to work with the city as soon as possible, and the ownership of GMT is changing in 3 weeks, or 3 months. So it's a little hard to work on that right now.
Public or private?
That's, well, they're, we can't do buses, our buses private.
It's an authority, it's a public authority.
Okay.
So the other possibility is My Ride, and that is a really cool thing. That is where you call them and they come and get you, or you use an app. So micro transit it's called. And another possibility would be to actually hire someone, like Westview Meadows has a driver between the hours of 8 and 5, and that these people in the village would share that cost. So we have a series of backup plans. that we're all in their infancy. We need to figure out who wants to live there. And then an interesting point is, so we have parking spaces for, I think it is 50 or 60, so between 50 and 60% of these people. We have enough parking spaces.
How many total spaces?
Pardon?
How many total spaces?
You ask hard questions for me to remember.
One, two,
I think it's, well, see, the other funny thing is there's a whole bunch of parking spaces right, oh wait, that is not the clubhouse. The clubhouse is here. Who didn't correct me? That's our cafe.
So that's not Turtle Island?
No, that's our cafe. It's a big building right here.
Turtle Island.
Shoot. Anyways, there's a whole bunch of parking lots, spaces down there. We like ranked second or third in how many new spaces are being provided. But I wish I remember, I'm just having a total
How many
brain
existing
fart right
spaces
now.
are
Oh, I know. Wait a minute. It's in our questions to the city. So this is what just got submitted today, and it's the reason why I'm so sleepy. And the answer is, where am I right here? Concept 3 has 445 spaces. Concepts 1 and 2 have 385 if you include the parking that's down
Total, how
by
many units?
300.
Housing units.
Yeah, but that is including the parking space.
How many housing units?
300.
Okay.
So the parking lot the way it is now, next to the building?
Yeah, the one that's not.
That's gonna stay?
Yeah, in concept 1, yes. Yep.
It stays at the parking lot?
Yep. So I don't mean to get people confused about this, but the point is that while this is beginning to build out and we don't have a huge amount of demand to get a bus route moved up here, there are plenty of parking spaces. It's only when the village is more than halfway built out and occupied that we really seriously need to get this figured out. So we want to attack how to make multimodal work. It's really a question for all of central Vermont. To own a car costs about $500 a year at least. Easily. And a lot of people cannot afford it. And so all of us should be looking at that. All of us developers and the city should be looking at as part of this, because we're creating a dense neighborhood that's not in walking distance of the downtown.
That lower parking lot may have huge solar panel shed.
Yeah. Yeah, we have
So each one
kids.
has, covers 2 spaces deep, and there's no sides off. You have to work on the plumbing stuff a little bit. And your car's covered, yeah, the front and the back, whichever is just little snow on it. And there's solar there, and maybe free solar, for your electric car. Okay, fine, I'll ride my bike down, you know, there are days, we all know Vermont, there are days where you actually wish better have ice skates downtown. But you come down, and look at every little thing, because we're not gonna build 1,000 of these. Maybe somebody will, I won't be. 1,000 of these really thought out things. And if it does, and gee, I gotta tell you, Sandy's got a rock star for this, in Vermont. Her effort on this is incredible. No slight to the other professionals in the room, her attention to detail, phenomenal. I'm a science geek and I'm a just do it geek. You just do stuff. But when you get down to the nuts and bolts of kilowatts and this and that, and geothermal, all the things that we haven't touched on in this discussion. I think, I've done some rough numbers on the back of the napkin, which is what I do. Does this actually work in the energy part and look in the future? Like, okay, when we build the second phase, what percentage of population will be using common share ride and then by then? 3 years, 4 years from now. Well, I said we fight the last war. I don't want to fight the last war, which is 26 foot long and Chrysler Parados, you know, I mean, they're kind of fun, isn't it?
Oh, you're talking about the big cars.
Yeah, big car, back in Jeep car, 20 foot long.
Rolling in the yards.
But we may not even have that, well, we're gonna have one car for 2 people. Share car, we don't even know where that share ride thing's coming from. Things still, so fast I know getting old, I'm so pretty old game, I see stuff, it's dizzying.
Well,
The chances that we're gonna be looking at transportation 4 years from now, the same way we're now, is nil.
right.
What's your expected build out for the whole, how many years? 6, 10?
We're actually saying aggressively, it might be 3 years.
if there's
It
demand.
won't get started for 3 years.
Well, 3 years once we
Well,
get
there's a thing
started.
called the speed of bike, it's a little different, but I'm sure Vermont will slowly roll a little bit.
Cindy has a question, and then I want to ask Tim if he has any comments, and then we're going to go home and have supper.
I just wondered about the designs of like the tiny houses. Would people have any input into what they would want in a tiny house? Because I know I do. I have ideas.
So that is a really good question from Michael and Ace, and Ken had to go home. He has little children. So I think we would talk about when you're doing production housing, so trying to get the cost as low as possible for the 50th percentile income, you have to have mass production, right? Yep, Ace is saying yes. And as we go up, there's more room for customization. Would you, yeah? But can you add some more?
I mean, sure. So, I mean, you can look at what our designs are. We're a design build company, so we created designs for all of our casita models online. You can walk through the floor plan, you can see what the things are. And yeah, the idea was to keep costs down, to, you know, do a nice design one time that many people can benefit from, so we're not having to do custom design every time because there's a lot of cost involved in that. That said, there are always options for, you know, particular kinds of built-in shelving or things that can be added as well to help to, you know, kind of develop out the spaces in a personal way. And then, yeah, as you said, Sandy, you can always do, you know, a custom design add-on to the unit. So if you're particularly interested in a particular feature, let's say something in the bathroom or something in the kitchen or whatever, that is available. We can do that, but as Sandy mentioned, it just adds cost. So it's up to every person.
Okay, Deborah hasn't had a question yet. And then,
Quick question. I also was interested in accessing design, the designs of different houses. So far, I only know about Huntington homes. So is the idea
if
to
you
use
go
different
on our
different
website,
builders?
there's a document tab at the top, and then you can go down and choose housing info. And the front page under housing info has a hot link to each of the companies.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
And the companies, for instance, Michael's, it brings you to a page that has all of his on one page. Actually, yours does too, Ace. So you can just explore around.
Right.
And we have plenty of time that we might be able to develop other models that could be made mass production. That's an interesting thing about getting involved early with that. I want to create a green 0-bedroom cottage that we could get down to, because 50 percentiles say, oh, that's not very much income. The reality is they are the bread and butter of Montpelier. 50 percentile of people that work in restaurants, they work in Vermont Compost, and they really would like to own houses. They have stable lives. They should be able to own a house. This is crazy that we tell them, oh, sorry, you have to live in an apartment for your whole life.
Nothing wrong with that.
Oh, I definitely have an opinion on this. Okay.
I'm wondering about handicap access.
Yes. The whole project's going to be accessible, and we tend towards smaller buildings because we'd like to avoid elevators. So the idea is to have a preferential system so that people who need first-story apartments or houses get them. So one-story houses or first-story apartments. So we have to work on how that's going to actually work, but it may mean that we don't end up with as dense a village as we're drawing now. We don't know. That's one reason why we have this excess 40 houses.
Yeah, and here's the thing, I mean, depending on where you all grew up, I mean, the Sears Kid House, quite weird, we had a big luxurious lot, it was 100 feet wide instead of 50 feet wide. It said 7,500 square foot lot, it's 150, that was a luxury growing up there.
That is pretty big.
No, but I went through
Our lots
there
are
the other day, I was
50
looking, you know, the Mastros grew up, I had these friends, still friends of mine, lifetime friends from kindergarten, they had 900 square feet, 1,100, you know, these were, you know, we had a big house, 1,250 square foot, Sears Kid House. you know, for 7 of us, cat and a dog. There's always plastic over some of the windows. Well, my dad was on a building, trying to renovate it. It fell up where I ended up. But it's interesting is, I said, I had 3 people to kindergarten, 1 7th grade, and touching it, I'm touching it, some of this stuff. I bounced stuff off them. But that's size up. And what it meant is, we're friends 50 years later, 60 years later. In part because of how we grew up, in density, but there wasn't a space, well, you know, you don't go across 100-foot lawn and knock on the door, and you had a fight next door going on with whoever grew up in that. But it's very real. And it made small houses make tight families, tight neighborhoods, I think, make close communities.
Tight neighborhoods.
For better and for worse at times, but there's a certain, but it's not the same as having a bang on the wall and some sort of fight with their cat or the cereal salon or something.
No. And they're gonna be fired.
We don't have a cat, that's the worst part.
So I don't want to drag on, so let's let Tim, do you have any thoughts that you'd like to say in closing?
I'm really excited that Mike and Sandy and the team are pulling together this. It's not just building homes, it's building a neighborhood and a community. And the focus, it's really the right scale for Montpelier, and I applaud you for your work. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Tim.
And today it's all Sandy, I mean, she calls me up, beats me up for some stuff. No, because it takes a smart person to make a dumb house.
What smart team?
No, but this is, let me give credit, guys. It seems so simple, but it's not. It's actually, do something intelligent, actually takes a lot more upfront. They mass produce it, it's been done before. And I encourage people to go look at Levittown, some of those Sears kid houses and stuff. It's remarkable. They're little bedrooms. We have 3 bedrooms, they're little bedrooms. We live with less, and we just don't need the space we needed before. And we can't afford it. So that makes it easier. Half joking.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all.